What's up, guys? Welcome back. Let me get the camera angle just right here. All right, so last week we left off with this track called "Dress to Impress," featuring B-Hug by Grip to Body Rocker. Now, I've gotten significantly further than last week. I'm pretty much done with the track, so let's just go through it, and chances are I'm going to find stuff that I want to fix, and maybe we'll learn some cool sound design stuff or mixing stuff. I don't know. Let's just get into it. I'm going to walk you through it. The song is impressive. I think it's great. We're going to go through the mastering chain, the whole shebang. Let's check it out. All right, so I'm going to try to keep this one somewhat short, like just down to the hour, because I didn't freeze this. Okay, anyway, we're gonna listen. Okay, so I have arranged everything kind of perfectly now. Now I have this all frozen. I haven't flattened everything yet, and honestly I don't think I will need to, mostly right now. I'm just gonna be, since it's already frozen, it's already audio in itself, I'm just going to kind of keep it that way. If I need to work on the waveform, I will do so later on. But let's actually just do the big reveal.
Yo, B-Hug. What's poppin'?
Body Rocker and B-Hug, boy.
We up out tonight?
Appreciate the call for the feature, my dude.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited to boo. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited to boo. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. Time to hit the mall, buy some clothes, watch my balls. Paid by Louis, Gucci, hairpin, and Sean Paul. Can't forget the Stacey Adams, matching tie, socks, and drawers. I got money to blow, so I'm buying it all. Hit the Nike store up and buy up all the ones. Fits coordinate with colors, looking like a Phoenix sun. Get drippy and designer, yeah, Drake just for fun. Straight boss, watch out. And the day has just begun, and I'm suited with the gators and the dogs on my head, riding like the mafia. That's what they said, poppin' love with the hunters, always got the bread, quarter length pinks, all colors, even red. I'm 6 straight, but I'm really like 11-3. When I get dressed, ain't nobody gonna be fresh as me. I'm the best at staying clean, like I'm walking through a dream. She said I'm dope, I told her put me on the triple B. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited to boo. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited to boo. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute.
Yo, I woke up in the club with my jams, lace his new tongue now. Looking for some Connie Lane when the money ain't a thing. It don't matter if it's winter, summer, spring. Yo, you ball till you fall. Bada boom, bada bing.
See, me, I'm over designers. I don't condone the mistreatment of minors. I'm using this cadence to prove I'm the greatest and kicking their haters right in their vaginas. Anything you could do, I could do better, man. Check out the Letterman. I am a veteran. Gotta go metal and rapping. I'm one of the illest. If I was a better man, I would bet every day.
Damn, that boy down fire.
I keep it 100, man, I never lie. Give me 100 bands, I make a fly. Light up the sky, 4th of July. I'm about to slide, shorty to shine. Feeling myself. You wondering why? You wondering why? Just look at the guy, what the fuck?
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited to boo. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited to boo. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute.
All right, now let's dissect it, all right? I did a little bit of the vocal dissection, but we're going to really get into it here because this is like the sauce right here. So I want to just start with how I build my hooks and basically how I build out like a hip-hop hook even a rock hook or a pop hook. It's all the same. You have multiple layers doing multiple different things. Now check out this. Okay, so oops, sorry about the black screen. Anyway, okay, so we have this right here. This is our lead right here.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress.
Okay, so now I want to add 2 unisons, one for the left and one for the right. Okay, now this is really just to thicken it up, and those are right here. Let's just hear them by themselves.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and booted. Stay dressed to impress, all lies we salute.
Alright, now that's good. Now let's see what all 3 of those sound like together.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck.
Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. So then I like to add a little bit more. I mean, it sounds full, but not quite full enough. I want to emphasize certain parts of it. Kind of like power phrases would, but this is more harmonizing with the rest of the track. I'm using musical content in the rest of the track to program this vocal synth here. Check it out.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club. Dressed to impress. Dark like glue. So anybody dressed to impress.
Okay, so all of those sound like this.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and booted. Stay dressed to impress, all lies be salute.
Okay. So, that kind of thickens it up, but not quite enough. You need to add those power phrases in there.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and booted. Stay dressed to impress, all lies be salute.
Okay. Now let's talk about the reverb here. I've got a really deep reverb you hear on the ad-libs. Okay, so this is a creative choice. I chose to use this to trigger the space. Now, what I mean by that is I am using stabbing instruments. Technically, this is a voice and it is an instrument. And I'm using the shortness of in its nature of the ad-libs to create the space surrounding the track. Kind of without that reverb, it doesn't sound quite right. Here, let me just take the ad-libs out, and I'm going to play the track with just without the 2 effects that I've created.
Appreciate the call for the feature, my dude.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and booted. Stay dressed to impress, all lies be salute. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress.
Okay. Now let me bring those back in the middle of it. I'm going to start regular without, just like you just heard now. And then I'm going to bring those 2 back in. And you're going to see the difference that just adding a space does. Excuse me, hold on. Sorry, I need some water. There. Okay, so let's just listen to this again.
Feature, my dude.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and booted. Stay dressed to impress, all lies be salute. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and booted. Stay dressed to impress, all lies be salute.
And as you can see, that adds so much more to the ambiance of the track. Now let's listen again with, let's let's listen to something else now. All right, so this is funny. Funny story is, I actually deleted this sound on accident, and I had to recreate it. I don't remember what sound it was in Vital. I just know it was a Vital instrument. So I found something similar, and I listened to the YouTube video that we streamed last week, and I created this out of that. And I think I did a pretty good job. And I added this cool new sound in here. And it pairs well all as one group now. Okay, so now one creative decision that was really easy to make. See this panning situation here I got going on? 9 to the left. Well, that's because this piano here feels a little bit to the right. You can clearly see that right here. Here, let me zoom out. You can clearly see that the right is much bigger. Alright, now if I add this high end part that's panned to the left in there, it kind of brings everything to the center and kind of makes it feel stereo, but kind of focuses the center of the stereo image. So I kind of wanted to do that because I wanted it to be the base of the track. So I needed it to be kind of in the center as well as on the sides. So I made another instrument, panned it a little off to the left. One is a little off to the right. It kind of gives it a more, you know, mono but stereo feel. I don't know how to describe that. It gives it a bigger presence across the stereo image, but focuses the majority of it to the center, if that makes any sense at all. I feel like I'm just babbling. And then with this, I can't believe that I thought of that organ last week and was just adding it in. So, how I lined the vocals up was I eventually had to just redraw all the drums because these are all off by just a little bit, and everything, as you can see here, maybe not, but maybe I recorded these after the fact. Something was off about the drums, and I had to reposition all of these drums here, and I made new loops out of all of these. Big ass loops. So I don't remember exactly what I did this week, but it was editing the snare because I didn't like the snare. I did change the snare to a clap. And I thought that was pretty cool. Using a reverse snare to go into a clap was nice. I like that.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dress from the club.
And as you can hear, this sauce is really coming through here.
Best when it's dressed to impress. Love from the club, dressed to impress. Dark like club, so in a booty, dressed to impress.
All right. So you can hear that I've got, actually I don't have anything on there. What?
The best when it's dressed to impress.
I want to do something now. Hold on. I want to try this. Let's add about 3 dB.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dress to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and blue. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. So I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dress to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and blue. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute.
Okay.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the crowd.
Okay, I want more chordal information right there. Let's see how high we can push this. Maybe we'll have to make a new track for itself and add a bit more brightness to it. We're gonna figure it out.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in blue. Stay dressed to impress.
Okay, so let's do this.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress.
Shut up! Alright, I want to delete all of this nonsense. And we're going to delete all of this. And now we have 2 copies of the same thing. Alright, so now I can just delete this. I don't need that. And raise this up. Like, to there. It's roughly the same. Now let's play with the EQ. Okay.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited.
Okay, now we're talking. More full body, but not too much. I'm gonna do something like, let's listen.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in blue. Stay dressed to impress. All lies be salute. So I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in blue. Stay dressed to impress. All lies be salute. So I'm the best.
Okay, now we gotta listen to in relativity how much louder, because when you're working on something, you gotta reset your ears to see if it's too loud. So we're gonna reset my ears.
Yo, I told her put me on the triple B. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in blue. Stay dressed to impress. All best when it.
Okay, hold on.
Yo, I told her put me on the triple B. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in blue.
So, you wondering why? Just look at the guy, what the fuck?
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in blue. Stay dressed to impress. All lies be salute. So I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress.
Can you gain the instrumental to fit the vocals, or the instrumental must be negative 60 dB? There's a I can point you to a few videos that'll change your mind on that. But no, the instrumental is actually all different instruments. That's not just one instrumental. I don't have the beat by itself. I created the beat around the vocals, and that's how I got to this point. There's a video last week you can check out if you wanna check it out. There's a live last week if you were watching it at all. But yeah, basically every number anybody tells you is kind of an arbitrary number. It's really mastering engineer. As long as you're working in 32-bit float, you'll never clip the audio. It's literally impossible. There's no sound on Earth, literally, that could clip 32-bit floating points, like 1500 decibels. I think the loudest sound we have is a nuclear bomb, and that's like 210 decibels. So it's just work in 32-bit float, and you'll never be able to clip your audio. Now, to gain stage properly, I think gain stage is a bad word to use. To appropriately mix your track, you I like to use this thing called tonal balance control. Here, let me show you. All right, I want to show you how I use it in a actual real sense. Okay, because this is how I make sure my vocals and instrumentals sit just right. Now, I don't listen to anybody's numbers. I use my ears, and what I like to do is, if you just have a stereo 2-track instrumental, take an EQ, okay? throw it on the stereo 2 track, and then also throw it on your vocal production, like group your vocals, like a vocal bus or something. And then what I would do is I would take basically sidechain, just kind of scoop out where I like to use Neutron for this because it tells me where everything. No, I don't use a VU meter at all. I kind of find meters arbitrary in this day and age. It doesn't actually do much for. I'm a mastering engineer, so if you want to take advice from anybody, listen to me, listen to Dan Worrell, listen to White Sea Studios. All right, he knows his stuff. He's pretty damn good at what he does. There's some things I disagree on with a few things that he does, but he might know more than me about analog stuff, but there's some things that I know about formatting for streaming services that a lot of other people don't know, which is pretty cool, I think. Anyway, not to toot my own horn, but I kind of am. Anyway, basically, what do you have a question about? Are you trying to do something with your mix? Because I can definitely help you. I just want to know more about it. Because if you use a VU meter, it's just to kind of gauge it how loud your track is. Really, it doesn't really. At 0 dB is negative 18 dBFS full scale, so that's kind of what people shoot for when they're recording on the way in. So, basically, if you're recording, you just kind of want to keep it in the like above the yellow but below the red. You want to get it as loud as you can without clipping, so you get optimum sound. But most noise floors are so low nowadays, it's just not going to matter. You could record really, really low and it's not going to do anything. But other than that, I mean, I wouldn't even use a VU meter. I would just look at, I'll show you how I use tonal balance control, and this is how I make sure my mixes sound great. This is kind of just an arbitrary like curve for hip hop. And I like to use my folder here. So I'll go to custom folder and I'll find some of Grip's tracks. And I'll use this, some stuff that I mixed for Grip already. And then I'll get my crazy bass, because I like to have a lot of short bass, so my bass falls quite far. But if you look at the line, it's pretty normal, except for the bass and the hi-hats right here usually. Now, this is kind of what I've developed, what Grip sounds good around. So this is kind of where Grip's voice sits right here. This is where the other music sits, more music down here, and the bass is just right here. I make sure there's a big scoop here so I can have a lot more bass up here without it getting too crunchy, if you will. When you what is this called right here?
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dress to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited to stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress.
See, and I'm right in the middle here, right where I want to be. Hi-hat's a little hot, bass a little hot, scoop right here around the 200 so that my bass can be hot. Now, you can still do this with the stereo 2 track. I used to take beats that people would give me that were like free off YouTube, and I'd EQ the crap out of them so it would sound good, and I would saturate certain parts so you could really hear the kick or something. And I mean, I never really used VU meters like everybody tells you. I think everybody online is giving just information that's old. It's obsolete. It's not wrong, it's just not correct anymore. It was correct at a time. So you have a mix peaking at negative 4.3 and you want it to be 2 decibels less with vocals. Are you just trying to get it for mastering? Because I could tell you how to prepare it for mastering. I mean, is there a way that I could see it? That'd be probably a better question. We could do this on like a Zoom call if you wanted, where we could do a one-on-one. I'd be down for that. I help a lot of people out. Yeah, yeah. Why don't you email me? Here, I'll put my email in the chat. Hold on. Let me do something here. Let me get my email in the chat. Okay. Stupid YouTube. Okay, so I'm hoping you can see that. There's my email in the chat. Yeah, set something up and we can definitely do a one-on-one this week if you want. And I will definitely help you out. I'm down to help you out with whatever you want. Anyway, let's get back into the mix here. And if you learn something, you learn something. If not, I'll see you on the one-on-one call. All right. But yeah, no, I will. Let's do it. Set something up for. I could probably do. I don't know. Just let me know what your schedule is. How about that? And we'll go from there. Anyway, so how I use tonal balance control to basically make sure my mix is perfect before I export it for mastering is I kind of listen to each area. And then I'll listen here. And if I have a lacking in a certain area, like let's just say I was trying to make it to this curve right here. This is pretty standard.
That's when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dress to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited to stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute.
And as you can see, the hip hop, I'm right on the money for curve wise. Like this is perfect. And like I said, this is how I mix. But like I like to mix with kind of a more, you know, broad stroke. I like to make sure my bass can fall. And so like there's a lot of songs that I like. I don't know if you were with me. There's a track that I mixed for him that we're still not done with because we haven't gotten the features yet. But it's called "Fuck With Me." But yeah, the song. Let me play it. Let me hold on. I want to see if I have it. Okay. I don't have it up. Oh, I do have it up. What am I talking about? Okay. So let me play that song.
Yeah. What's that? On the one. I'm a breath of fresh air. Yeah. Pull up a chair. You gon' wanna fuck with me. Can't hate me if you want it. When the world want it. Cause you gon' wanna fuck with me. I'm a breath of fresh air. Pull up a chair. You gon' wanna fuck with me. Can't hate me if you want it. When the world want it. Cause you gon' wanna fuck with me. You know, fly press like a new suit off the rack. Private jets with a new coupe in the back. Keep a vest, niggas dying, got proof of that. Play your chest, drop the roof, where my shooters at? Matter of fact, how they act when I make it rain. 100 racks in 100 packs, leave a stain. Them niggas that you used to, no, we ain't the same. I'm a way different picture, way better frame.
All right, so there's that track, and in all my tracks I drop the bass out a whole lot because I like to have full bass extension when the hook hits. So like in this track, the bass drops out quite often, as you can see, right after the hook here.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club, dressed to impress. All eyes be salute. Time to hit the mall, buy some clothes, watch my balls, pay by Louis Gucci.
And there's like no bass for a long time for right here.
100, man, I never lie. Give me 100.
Like here, here, here. There's just so many spots where there's absolutely no bass because you don't need it for the whole track, and that's why my curves, you know, kind of go all over the place. But like I said, when everything's hitting, all my stuff is pretty damn perfect, and that's kind of how I mix my track. I kind of figure out what am I listening to in here. There's two instruments. There's the vocals. Let's solo those out so you can understand what's happening here. So there's this instrument that's happening here, and there's this instrument, and then there's the vocals, which we'll do this. We'll just do this. Plus, where is that? There.
Money to blow, so I'm buying it all. Hit the night stove up and buy up all the ones. Fits coordinate with colors, looking like a Phoenix sun. Get drippy and designer, yeah, draped them just for fun. Straight boss, in the day.
So basically, I kind of when I make sure my mix is perfect, I'm listening for different things. This is just to show you what's typical in most hip hop. You know, you want to try something like orchestral, bass heavy, similar to hip hop. Very similar, as you can see, just the same, just skinnier in hip hop. Bass heavy is kind of more of a broad term. And you got EDM, which is just even more broad. And pop, which is slightly different, less bass, more bass kicking in the 80 hertz range. Got those 80 hertz kicks. You know, and then rock's about the same thing, 80 hertz kicks. You got that kick drum, you know, from the beater, just hitting really nice, making that nice click sound. With hip hop, you really want your kick to be shining about like 50 to 60 hertz. At least that's my experience. That's where I get the best results.
Money to blow, so I'm buying it all. Hit the night stove up and buy up all the ones. Fits coordinate with colors,
because there's
looking
no
like a
bass
Phoenix
here,
sun. Get drippy and designer, yeah, draped them just for fun. Straight boss, in the day it just begun, and I'm suited with the gators and the Dobbs on my head, riding like the mafia. That's me. That's
Now
what
watch
they
the
said.
bass kick
Love with the hunters, always got the bread, quarter leg
goes
pace,
down,
colors.
this goes up,
Even
that's
red
at
and
full
6
range.
straight, but I'm really like 11-3. When I get dressed, ain't nobody gonna be fresh as me. I'm the best at staying clean, like I'm walking through a dream. She said I'm dope, I told her put me on the triple B. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress.
Okay, so if you're why doesn't it tell you what it is anymore? It used to tell you what it is. Okay, so if your bass is too dynamic, it's going to be over here. If it's too compressed, it's going to be over on this side. You want to try to keep it in this range, and I've had experience with it going out of the range, and it just sounds too empty if it's dynamic. It sounds too crunchy if it's too compressed. And you'll be able to tell if you just solo this range out here. So, if you didn't catch that, my trick is to have overpowering bass, really short bursts of it, to where the bass keeps climbing and climbing in the curve, almost out of acceptable range, almost too compressed, almost too much, and then I just take the bass away, and then it completely changes the curve again. It's a technique I found very useful in every hip-hop track that I've mixed recently. And there's a whole bunch of them too. Like, I've been doing a whole lot for this artist Grip here that I work with frequently. I also manage him, and we're setting up a show in Atlanta. So if you're in Atlanta, email me for details. All right, email me. But yes, it's a big show. When I have everything finalized, I will review all of the artists on it, and I'll explain everything about it. But I want it to be finalized before I say stuff. because this is the internet. You know what I mean? It's out there forever. So if I were to export this after making those little changes that we did we make any changes? Did I make changes? I think I did. I don't know if I did. Let's see if we insert device. What did I? Oh, I just inserted tonal balance control. That's all I did. Do we want to make that change? I mean, I suppose so. Oh no, I also did this too.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited. I am. That's right. I am. In the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and booted. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute. So I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and booted. Stay dressed to impress.
One thing I love doing, or not doing really, is I don't tune the ad-libs unless I absolutely have to. Now, there's some ad-libs like this where I did tune them.
Yeah, designer, yeah, Drake just for fun. Drake boss, watch out. And the day has just begun, and I'm suited with the gators and the dives on my head.
What is it?
Naval colors looking like a phoenix sun. Throw up and buy up all the ones. Fits coordinate with
Okay, so maybe not. Maybe it's here on the...
all the ones. Fits
Yeah. I tuned this up quite a bit. It's grip, but
all the ones.
I tuned it up and I made it in like key with the actual chord that's playing at the time. So it sounds like another person kind of, because I also messed with the formant. So basically it's kind of, it gives it the impression that another person's backing them up right there. Let's listen again with just the two vocals playing.
Dog hit the Nike store up and buy up all the ones. Fits coordinate with colors looking like a phoenix sun. Get
You
drippy.
can hear when I bring it back to Grip's voice. It's pretty cool. I like it. I geek out over like the weirdest little things in audio sometimes. I don't know if you're like that, but
Trying to hit the mall, buy some clothes, watch my balls. Tape by Louis, Gucci, hairpin, and Sean Paul. Can't forget the Stacey Adams matching tie, socks and drawers. I got money to blow, so I'm buying it all. Hit the Nike store up and buy up all the ones. Fits coordinate with colors, looking like a phoenix sun. Get drippy and designer, yeah, Drake just for fun. Drake boss, watch out. And the day has just begun.
and I got some reverb on these ad-libs, but not as much.
Papered up. Suited up.
It's a different reverb. It's a lot of reverb still, but it's a shorter reverb. I'm using the reverb that's undampened by the vocal compressor. So like I got a compressor on the other reverb that all the vocals are going to that is being compressed with a sidechain to the vocal bus. Now, this doesn't include the ad-libs because they don't go to the vocal bus. They go just to the master. And that's by design on this one. Normally I would go bring them to a pre-master and then bring the pre-master to the master so I have full control over everything, but that's a whole routing thing and I was lazy, so shoot me. You know.
Papered up. Suited up. What?
So as you can see, it's a little bit different amount of reverb, different kind of reverb than this.
I am. That's right. Can you see me? So low. I am. That's right.
Okay, so now listen to this.
What?
It's a much shorter
You know.
room reflection. And yeah, I got some panning going on here. let me show you the panning here. Left, right, or right, left. I don't know, something like that.
Up.
Yeah, left, right.
Suit it up. What? Louis Gucci hairpin and Sean Paul. Can't forget the Stacy Adams matching tie socks and drawers. I got money to blow, so I'm buying it all. Hit the night stove up and buy up all the ones.
Sky, 4th of July, I'm about to slide, shorty to shine, feeling myself. You wondering why? Just look at the guy, what the fuck?
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in.
Hold on.
To impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress.
Watch this. Let me see.
When you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue.
Hold on.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute, so I'm the best when it's.
I think I might need to mess with that too.
Dressed to impress. I stuck like glue. Dressed to impress. I stuck.
No, I like that like that. Okay.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute, so I'm the best when.
Okay. The idea behind that is kind of a alternating feel, but also emphasizing where he holds out notes or holds out words that are really important. I want to emphasize those words, so I'm going to harmonize with them with a vocal synth or some sort of a talk box or, something like that, And then I will decide what's too busy for that sound. And like I did here, I muted this. I just deactivated this clip here just because I felt that right there was too busy for the vocal synth to be playing at the time. But if you listen to this now,
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like.
And the reason why is because there's this going on right now.
From the club.
And that's pretty cool. It adds that ambiance in there. So that plus this.
I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute, so
Now, it's debatable whether we're going to need to do that to the other parts of it. So let's actually just copy and paste it and see what it sounds like. Okay? We're just going to see if it sounds any
Triple
different.
B. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute, so
And now that I find that I like that, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that on every single part of the hook where that is duplicatable. All right. So now that we've cleaned up all the busyness, because right after from the club ends, impress comes in. It's kind of giving that, alternating vibe that I was going for. All right. So now that we're coming to a close on this, we're going to export this. I want to save this actually, because I've actually done stuff that I really, really like now in this, and I really want to save this. Man, my phone is blowing the hell up right now. Damn.
From the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute, so I'm the best when it's dressed.
Sky, 4th of July, I'm about to slide, shorty to shine, feeling myself. You wondering why? Just look at the guy, what the fuck?
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and booted. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. So I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like.
Alright, yeah, I like that. We're going to export it. These are my settings. If you want, you can pause the video and check it out, but I don't dither till I'm done later. That's a whole mastering thing. And with hip-hop, I end up mastering every single one of my tracks. We're on 35 right now. Alright, so I'm going to export this. I'm going to take you through the mastering process. If you guys are still with me, awesome. If not, I understand. It's going to take a couple seconds here. Anyway. So, basically, after I get a good mix, I want to import it into a new session where I master the track. I get the Stereo 2 track, and the waveform tells me a whole lot about how I'm going to go about mastering the track. It's going to tell me whether I need clipping, compression. Some people like to use a limiter right away and just limit the peaks. I like to use a clipper and add a little bit of color. How much color? That depends on you. Sometimes a limiter might be beneficial, but in no case have I ever used a limiter instead of a clipper. I feel like I get more headroom with less, how do I say it? With less effort and less change to the sound. I feel like I get more bang for my buck, more oomph for my dBs, if you will. And that allows me to get a louder master. So now that we've exported this, I'm going to want to open up a mastering session. So let's go into my other mastering session since we've already saved this. It should open up fairly quick here. My phone is blowing up right now. Oh. All right. Come on. There we go. Ableton has been loading slowly. Alright, so let me just load the old waveform in here. Let me note whatever this is real quick here. 6.75. Okay. Oh, we don't need that. Okay. So, let me bring this into the beat. Or into the session. Alright. So, this is the waveform that we start out with. Alright, now if I zoom in here, you're going to see exactly what I see. There are some peaks we might need to worry about, but most are already taken care of. So let's just go up that amount that I had the other one at. And obviously that's too much. So let's zoom in here and see what we're doing. I want to zoom in to a point where I'm cutting something off, but nothing important, to where I'm not coloring the sound in a way that I don't necessarily want. Now this looks like it could be a problem. Let's check it out. But it's not. 6.75. See, I had it right to begin with. So now I've done this a lot and I know what's going to produce a good sound. Now we can listen to this and I can show you that it does nothing but add a nice color to it. Let's listen to the loudest points.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited and booted. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. So I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love.
Alright, so now I want to freeze that. So I've gained a little bit of headroom. Not a lot, but enough to actually do some difference here. Alright, now I'm going to take this, I'm going to hold Option or Alt on the PC, and I'm going to drag it down. Now you'll notice the waveform looks huge, right? And I used a soft clipper. Did that even work? That didn't work fully, or did it? Okay, it didn't. What the hell? What did you do? Okay, so we are going to see something here. I'm going to take this off. I want an extension out. What was that hitting at? Negative 0.8? Okay. I'll give it that. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, we were going to turn it down anyways. Alright? So I gained some headroom. Minus 3.5. I like to start there by just turning everything down by like 3.5 dB. Then I like to set my compression. Now, I don't do this the same every single time, but most times I do. And so when I set my compression, lately I've liked the Shadow Hills Mastering compressor. I don't know why, but that's been my favorite lately. You go through phases as a sound engineer, you know. I want a full mix, but I want it to be sidechained at, it's not going to tell me, like 200, somewhere in there. I want you to just not worry about the bass and just be triggered by the rest of the signal. And I always have this one on optical, and I have this one on discrete, obviously. And then I don't use this side at all. I link the channels so that it's just over here that controls everything. So first, like I said, I set this. And I'm always in the densest part of the track.
When it's dressed to impress.
Now, being that I don't have a lot of mix bus compression, usually, I like to do most of my compression after I clip or limit the peaks of whatever I'm working on. I will, because I want it to just, the reason I clip first is because I want it to be a clean new waveform. I don't want it to be itself folded back in on itself because it never sounds quite right folded in again when it compressed again. Like, I feel like I'm just like folding something and then like kind of curling it. Like, it just doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't sound like it's gonna, in my mind, it logically, it doesn't make sense to do like that. I would rather cut it off clean, add a little bit of color, make sure I'm not doing anything that's unnecessary or unwanted, and then set some compression levels. So I like to do 1 to 2 dB of compression on the first compressor and the second compressor about the same. As you can see,
when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I
turn it
like
off.
glue, 'cause I'm
and I'll turn it on and off. Listen to this.
best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, 'cause I'm suited to boost. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute, so I'm the best.
The drums become more like defined. Everything just is really nice. Now, there's some things that I tried recently that really amped up some things, and I wanted to do that with this track, which we might go back in on another track and do, on another live and do, where I send all the vocals to a Neve, and then I send all of the drums to, or all the vocals and everything else to the Neve emulation that I have, and then everything else, the drum, like the drums and the bass, go to the drums and bass go to the Neve, and the everything else goes to SSL for that silky smooth curves it has in the EQ. So that's it. Just the Neve does something with the transients, and I was told this I saw an interview, and Jason Joshua, he's a really great Grammy Award-winning mixing engineer that I've watched. I didn't understand him at first, but now I'm starting to understand. His knowledge goes deep. Neves do treat transients just a little differently than the SSL, and I like the silky smoothness of the SSL for everything else. But the drums could be using the Neve every single time, I'm finding out. But I didn't do that on this yet. I haven't tried. It just would be a lot of routing nightmare to do all of that stuff. But anyway, we're on to the compressor. And then what did I do for everything else? Oh yeah, I did some saturation down here. We can listen to just the delta.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club. dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dress to impress. I stuck like glue.
Going on.
That's when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dressed to impress. I stuck like glue. That's when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute. Time to hit the mall.
Why is this all of a sudden not working?
Best when
Dude, Ableton has been screwing me lately, dude. I do not know what's going on with Ableton. You need to get your shit together, Ableton. Because it's not working.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dressed to impress. I stuck like.
What is the deal? Oh, I'm an idiot. Alright, it was going on the extension out, so I don't even know if you guys were even hearing it.
Best when it's dressed to impress.
Haha. Were you guys hearing it?
Best when it's dressed to
Okay, you guys do hear it when it's go to the extension out. That is crazy. As an audio engineer, I still learn shit every day. Okay, so I added this to the low end. Sounds like 200 hertz and below. Maybe like 300 or somewhere in there. And then I added this to the sides, but the high mid-range on the sides. So it emphasizes everything on the sides and the vocal area. It's a trick I've been using when I really want to push something on the sides. And I did the same thing in the EQ here. And right there. As you can see, my EQ curve is interesting. I got a tape saturator. I got all this stuff in here doing just little bits. Okay, this is an interesting EQ right here. If you pay attention, this left is different than this right. What that's doing, let me just delete all this crap right here. Alright, so what this is doing is it's giving the left channel something different than the right channel besides the instruments that are already on there. It's creating more stereo width without having any weird mono things happen. Let's listen to it in mono for a second.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love.
Damn, that was loud.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute. So I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute.
As you can see, the mono is just like there's so much stereo width in this track, but when I solo it back and forth between mono and stereo, it's like you can like understand. You're like, yeah, I could lose that and be okay with that.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute. So I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited in. Stay dressed to impress. All eyes be salute.
And you can see how the left and right filter. Listen to this.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suited.
Here, I want to prove this to you. Because I can hear it, but it took me a while before I was able to hear it. Alright, get rid of everything else.
Best when it's dressed to impress. I get more love from the club when you dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm I'm suitable. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suitable. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. Best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suitable. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more.
As you can see, it does everything without... Now, this is the first time I've used low-end focus the opposite way that I normally would. I actually took away bass to get it to sound a bit like this. Now, I'm not sure...
We up out tonight.
Appreciate the call for the.
How I do things is I kind of get a good mix, and then I master it. Then I figure out what needs to be fixed. Is it a mixing question, or is it a mastering question? And then I like to decide where I want to tackle those problems. And if it's in the mix, obviously it's something that's going to change about the master. Sometimes I mix into the master, like, okay, that was too much bass. I'm already fixing something else in the mix. Why not fix that part in the mix too? And then I'll fix it in the mix instead of in the master, so it's like I'm mixing into the mastering chain that I've already set up because I know how I want the song to sound in the end. So it's kind of back and forth, backwards way, but that's just how I do things and how I get it to sound like this.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suitable. Stay dressed to impress. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suitable. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute. I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suitable. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be salute.
So every part of this master kind of does just a little bit. Like without this tape, it doesn't sound quite the same.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck.
Do you hear how fat it gets? How like focused and fat? It's like pushes it out so you can hear it better, and it widens it just a bit. I don't know. If you're listening, hear it. I'll turn it off again.
I'm the best when it's dressed to impress. Get more love from the club when you're dressed to impress. I stuck like glue, cause I'm suitable. Stay dressed to impress, all eyes be.
The bass just kicks. All right. We're exiting this. We're done with this track. These are my export settings. 0035. All right. We're done with the master. All right. So, this track has taken me a total of 2 weeks on and off. I don't really mix hardcore like I did about an hour with you guys, hour and a half or so with you guys last week, about an hour this week, and most of this was already done, and I was just kind of going through it. But there may be like a couple hours that I worked on this, like 4, maybe 5 hours total, and that's pretty much the whole track. And it shouldn't take that long to mix. I hear people mixing songs for like months and months and months, and there's songs that I've never finished that, you know, I guess you could consider that I've mixed for years or whatever, but you know, that's just because they're unfinished. I just didn't want to finish them. Now, if that's you, I recommend just trying working with artists that have deadlines to where you have to finish the track. You know what I mean? Maybe offer your services for free. Maybe, you know, get some traction with notoriety with the artists you're working with. You know, because you work with them for free, you might actually, if they make it, you might actually get more business just because of that. But it really depends on your level of skill. Anyway, that's the stream, guys. I gotta get going. I'll see you guys next week.